Hey guys, it's Bear. It's Friday, May 11th, and I wanted to take a quick minute to talk to you about something that I see all the time and that I hear all the time, and that's a matter of grammar when referring to trans people. So I know that it's kind of a joke, like, oh, here come like the grammar police to correct people on, like, you know, two, and two, there, and there. That's something that I really do think that we should all know, but there's various reasons for people not knowing it, and that's not the subject of this video. This video, you know, I just want to take a chance to educate some people. A lot of people don't know very many trans people. You know, they haven't really been exposed to, you know, how to refer to a trans person properly, and so they will say a couple of things that are just wrong. And so this isn't so much like a rant or like an angry thing. It's just my attempt to educate you and correct you and let you know why you're saying it wrong. So a couple of terms that I see all the time that are incorrect are transgendered and transgenders. Okay, so transgender is an adjective. All right, it is a word that describes something. So like purple or fuzzy. All right, you might have a fuzzy blanket. You know, you wouldn't refer to that blanket as fuzzied, right? It just sounds wrong in your mind. So for whatever reason, people will refer to their transgender friend by saying, you know, this is my transgendered friend, and I'm not really sure why. I don't know why people have kind of come up with that term, but yeah, it's incorrect. So when you say transgendered, you're turning it into a verb, all right, which is an action, which means that it is something that happened. This isn't something that happened to me. It is a word that describes a certain part of me. So just like I'm white and I'm short, you know, those are adjectives. Similarly, I'm transgender. I'm not shorted, you know. Being short isn't something that happened to me. So similarly, I am not transgendered. It's not so much that it's like offensive. It's not like irksome. It's just simply wrong. All right, so just kind of for the people who are new to this, either as a trans person or someone who is an ally, or, you know, your partner just came out or whatever, kind of think of it that way. Maybe that will help you to understand that, you know, how to refer to somebody else who is transgender. Similarly, though, another thing that I see all the time or has been said to me before is the word transgenders. And so now you're making transgender into a noun, which is a person, place, or thing. So again, I am not a transgender. I am a transgender person, or I'm a trans male. Trans is just the short version, okay? So referring to me as a transgender, it's just kind of wrong, but it also kind of like, it's a little bit abrasive, you know, and I don't know, it's weird because I was trying to think of this when I was thinking about making this video, and I was like, well, we do say whites, and we do say, you know, like Mexicans, but in the case of like Mexican, you're talking about like someone's nationality, so it's a noun. It is what they are. It's not an adjective. You know, it's not something that describes them, right? So maybe that's why people are saying that. I'm not really quite sure. I haven't really talked to people like, why do you say that, you know? I just wanted to kind of analyze it, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, maybe that's why they're saying that. But it is still incorrect. And neither one is really offensive. You know, I'm not like trying to be like, you know, hurt or whatever. I'm not really into that. It's not like it's not PC, you know, as long as you're not using slurs. I'm not like hurt or offended by the use of your words, but I just wanted to, again, take the chance to educate you. And furthermore, in the attempt to educate people, I see a lot of people saying things like, oh, these are like made up words. So I did some research. The terms cisgender and transgender, I see cis people being like, well, why do you need a label for me? Well, because you need a label for me, so there has to be some root of that definition, right? Transgender, and that goes back to cisgender. I'm not cisgender, and they kind of get like insulted, ironically, and they kind of go like, oh, well, now you're just making up words. And it's like, okay, well, this is Latin, all right? The word, or the prefix cis, C-I-S, and I've heard it pronounced cis as well, and I'm not sure which is right, but I hear people say cis more. And the word trans, they're both Latin prefixes. And cis literally means on this side of, or in the case of gender, to stay on the same side of, and that refers to a person whose their gender identity and their assigned sex based on their anatomy align unambiguously. They are born with certain biological traits that say they are male, and they identify as male, and they're just, binary, and they don't question it, and they don't vary from it. So that's cisgender, okay? Trans means across from or on the other side of. So in this case, when you're talking about transgender, because there's a lot of other reasons, or a lot of other places that we use the prefix trans, when you're talking about transgender, you're talking about someone whose gender identity and their assigned sex do not align unambiguously. That's really all it means. It doesn't mean that you have to switch like I did from one to the other. It just means that they don't align unambiguously. A subject for another video, subject for another conversation. Gender is a spectrum, and when you go away from your assigned gender, you are talking about being under the trans spectrum of the gender spectrum, if you will. This starts to get kind of confusing. Not the point of this video. But that's just kind of a brief explanation of where these words are coming from and why they're not like new words. They're not made up words. They're Latin. It's an ancient language, and actually the root of Latin is a subject of intense debate. Like nobody, there's all sorts of arguments about the origin of like the Latin language, right? But yeah, not new words, not made up words, although one could argue that any language and any word was made up at some point. But yeah, we're not like, oh, it's 2018 and we're this like new generation of people making stuff up and creating all these new gender identities and new orientations and stuff like that. They've always been there, and these words just are the way to describe them and explain them and to maybe label ourselves, and that's another debate for another video that I'm not going to get into right now. Happy Friday, guys. Go enjoy the Chicago rainy spring weather. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next time.